Let's talk about Donald Trump for a second here. He's already gone hard on the defense contractors from Boeing to Lockheed Martin. He's already, you know, kind of given them a heads up that he's going to come after their budgets. And of course, he's hit the CIA really hard. What do you make of him turning down intelligence briefings? You know, he said, I don't read the intelligence briefings, or he gave it something like, I read them every once in a while. What does that all mean? You're a Washington insider. Tell us about that.
Well, I think what it means is he doesn't want to give the CIA a chance every day to brainwash him.
Well, hello, friends. I'm David Vos. Today is January the 12th. It's 2017. It's good to see everybody today. Well, as you know, we did a video yesterday, and it was about, this is kind of a continuation. We're going to be hearing a few things from Paul Craig Roberts. This man was at the highest echelons of our government during the Reagan administration. He really seems to know what he's talking about. You're not going to hear this kind of information from any other source. Very few people are as articulate as this man in explaining what's really going on, and he's already explained to us, we talked about that in the first video, about how Donald Trump will be assassinated. They're going to talk more about that in this video. But he makes a very interesting point here. Something that if you think about for just a moment, it will literally, I think, make you happy to just think that, oh my goodness, maybe we actually have somebody in the White House that literally is just a human being who wants to help mankind. Most of you, if you're on YouTube, probably already know that it's all a bunch of propaganda, lies, cheaters. It's insane. Government is not for us, but they're bought and paid for by the corporate interests, these oligarchies that we talked about in the last video. So now it makes perfect sense. We've heard about how Donald Trump is not going to these briefings, and we thought, oh, what is he, crazy or something? You know, that's what they want you to think. Well, this man's crazy. Why he can't be president because he's not following protocol, and he's doing things that he wants to do and not following all the law. So you got to do what these guys tell you. Wait a minute now. Donald Trump's president. We voted a human being in as president. Now the CIA and these other people, they want to go in there and brainwash him. Basically, tell him what he's supposed to be doing. You know, manipulate him with their propaganda. Donald Trump's got enough money and people working for him. He can find out very easily what's really going on in the world. I think Donald Trump is getting his information from his own people. And this is probably one of the main reasons why, one of the most important proofs that Donald Trump is not a patsy or a puppet for the elite, but he is going to go in there and do his own thing. He's, well, that's crazy, you know, you're just going out there and just, you know, doing your own thing, you know, and no. We've been living in a world where everything is run by some crazy secret shadow government. The only way to bring these people down is to basically stay away from them. And you're going to find out in this video about how Donald Trump is really cutting down the CIA. I mean, this is unheard of. Donald Trump goes into office and starts basically coming out and saying the CIA is just a bunch of crap. It's just all propaganda, and he's not going to listen to their propaganda. This is unprecedented, friends. So this is really going to blow your mind to find out that the stuff that we're being told, that, you know, he's just crazy, the stuff he's doing, it's actually proof that he is the right man for the job. Now listen to this.
Or to win him over to their agenda.
The CIA reports leading up to 9/11 warned of an attack, but it was ignored. So I guess he's thinking, well, you know, what's going on here? He thinks that they've got a brainwashing on a daily basis, or not.
Well, you know, the whole thing is suspicious, isn't it, Max? How would the CIA be able to warn of an attack when later the White House claims we had no idea about any of this?
That's exactly right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. There seems to be a disconnect anyway between these two pieces of government. You know, if Trump makes it to the White House, what do you think of his cabinet so far, what he's picked?
Well, you know, he's picking strong people, which if you're going to have change from the top, you got to have a strong personality like Trump.
Now this is important. Watch this part, because I hear a lot of people that are very suspicious of Trump saying, oh, well, he's putting all these Goldman Sachs people in his cabinet and all these terrible bankers and bad people, and so he's just going to be like all the rest. Well, that's a good point. That really is something we need to be thinking about. We need to scrutinize. Is this what he's going to do? Listen to what this man says for the actual reason that Donald Trump is doing this, friends.
You can't do that if you're conciliatory or you're going along with everything. So, and the people he's choosing, you know, one of his main goals, he says, is to restore normal relations with Russia. So his Secretary of State makes perfect sense. This is a guy on good terms with Putin. So if you want to restore relations with Russia, then you need somebody like that, right? So his national security advisor, another general, but he's the guy who blew the whistle on the Obama administration sending ISIS to Syria. I mean, he actually blew the whistle on that. That other general is the guy who told Trump torture doesn't work and backed him off of that. Plus, if you're unsure about what the CIA or some elements of the military security complex is going to do, it's nice to have some well-connected generals there.
So let's talk about Rex Tillerson for a second. CEO of Exxon. Now he's going to be over there at Secretary of State. Now, what's interesting is that, you would know better than I would, because it's going to go back into the Washington history a bit. But during the second oil embargo, laws were changed, and that you could not sue foreign governments in relation to the oil and the oil pricing and the oil gouging. The full story, we can fill in the details. But as a result, a company like Exxon, unable to go through the courts to go after what they think are injustices, they end up developing their own internal security apparatus, their own internal mechanisms. In other words, he's already overrunning a bit of a, what's the phrase I'm looking for? The State Department, a mini State Department within Exxon right now. Isn't that kind of the true?
That probably is true, yes, which would be another good reason to have him as Secretary of State. You know, when you pick somebody from outside the system, it's harder for the oligarchs to get hooks into them, particularly a man like that, because he's not prone to be kowtowing to anybody. And so I would say on the whole that Trump is trying to get people who are not only willing to back him up, but capable of standing up to people and doing that. So I think if you can't judge any of his appointees on the basis of their past associations. You got to judge them on the basis of whether or not Trump is really serious. And if he is, he's got to have this type of people.
It's like he's gathered up a posse.
That's
like
right.
He went into the town and said, I need a posse. We're going to go after these trade, inflictors.
Yeah.
And he got the baddest hombres, as he calls them, of the bunch. Now, if under the right leadership, they can be doing. Now, the Goldman Sachs picks, of course, we've been railing against Goldman Sachs for years. They're the deepest crooks in the swamp. He's got 2 or 3 of them in his cabinet now. Let me ask you a question. You are quite familiar with the world of banking and finance. Wouldn't he just go to these guys and say, look, we've got $20 trillion in debt. Show me how to cut the debt by $10 trillion, and I'll give you a 1% fee. That's a $100 billion fee, right? Right? Am I right? I mean, who wouldn't take that deal?
This Treasury Secretary left Goldman Sachs, 14 years ago?
Yeah.
He's been making movies. He had his own investment firm. We know a lot of people who work for Goldman Sachs who really dislike Goldman Sachs and are after him. Nomi Prinz is always after him. Pam Martins. So we can't, these are not people to judge by their past associations. We got to give Trump 6 months, assuming the CIA gives him 6 months, and see what happens.
Look, when the government wants to stop hackers, they hire hackers.
Right.
And if the Trump wants to snuff out the bad bankers, he's going to have to hire bankers.
He's got to have somebody that knows about it.
Right.
You fight fire with fire. You see what's going on here, friends? Donald Trump has to bring people into his administration that have been in the system, that knows what's going on, and that knows how to get into the safe so he can take the money out. You're going to rob a bank, right? You don't say, well, I'm just going to take me and my brother and my sister. No, you need to find a person that knows how to hack into a bank vault. Maybe this person knows explosives or something. So Donald Trump's putting together a team. Yeah, we're going to have our suspicions because we can't just lock, stock, and barrel trust anybody. Nobody can be completely trusted like this. But I'm saying this is encouraging, and a lot of the stuff that Donald Trump is doing is very encouraging.
You can't just... Okay. Now, he said recently, Donald Trump, that we're about the largest purchaser of pharmaceuticals anywhere in the world, and yet we can't negotiate the price? Okay, so what's wrong with U.S. patients having their government negotiate prices for them the same way the government negotiates trade deals for corporations?
Nothing. And people are glad to hear this. It's this type of talk is why he got elected, because he's the first one who says, I'm here for you. We're going after these guys. We're going to get them. They haven't heard anybody say that in my lifetime.
No.
So it's easy to see why Flyover America elected him. Now, a lot of people say, well, he's not serious. Well, if he's not serious, why is there such a concerted effort to keep him out of the presidency? I mean, they tried to destroy his the Republican nomination campaign. That was all over him. They were all over him in the presidential election. They're all over him before he's inaugurated. There has to be a reason for that. So they do see him as a threat. And I think the ordinary people see that their enemy sees Trump as a threat. So they're behind him.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
It's my friend.
So I think this is probably the main reason that we know that Donald Trump is going to at least do his best to not be a puppet for the elite. I know a lot of you are suspicious, but just really stop and think about it. I don't know how many of you that are suspicious are watching the news real closely as I am. But take, for instance, John McCain and Lindsey Graham. These are Republicans. And if you watch the news real carefully, you'll notice that they're frothing at the bit. Frothing at the bit. I was watching today on these hearings, these cabinet hearings. Oh my goodness, you'd think that John McCain and Lindsey Graham and some of these Republicans were Democrats. Like as if they were trying to stop the nomination of some of these cabinet members. They're just literally opposed to Donald Trump. And, but I mean, a lot of you are saying, well, Newt Gingrich is for Donald Trump, and Chris Christie was, and Mike Huckabee, and some of these others. Friends, I really do believe that some of these people, like Mike Huckabee, are good people. They went into office knowing that it was corrupt. I'm not sure if they were corrupt themselves, but I think because, for instance, Mike Huckabee, I just think that he's such a good man, and he's worked so hard and been so honest and true that the people keep electing him. But you notice he never became president because he never had the game plan Donald Trump did to get into office. So that's why we needed Donald Trump. Donald Trump himself, by himself, he may not have been the person that can by himself, single-handedly taken down this whole thing. You need somebody like Mike Huckabee and Newt Gingrich that knows the inside of this board and can go in from the inside and tear it down. I think the reason that Donald Trump was able to pull this off is because he is a billionaire and happens to have a team. He knows how to put together a team. And that's what he's going to do for America. He's going to put together a good team. And he's already got a team that's been working for him. And these people are like better than the CIA. They're better than what's this think tank that the United States of America has. I think Donald Trump, that's probably the reason he got rich. Because he knows how to analyze stuff and get the right people in his organization to do the right job. He will reward those people that do good. And in this case, I think it's his intentions to help America. I think that's what Donald Trump wants. So I think he's a man of destiny. He's the man for the hour, and he's the next JFK or the next President Lincoln, friends. That's what I think is going to happen, but we'll have to wait and see. we're going to go ahead and close this now, friends, and we'll probably do another video in this series. You guys have a really great day. This is David Vos, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow.